Salvadoran non-governmental organization CRISTOSAL called for an investigation into the human rights violations committed against Venezuelan migrants at the Secot prison. In Honduras, the government denounces the growing signs of political destabilization promoted by the far right and with the support of foreign actors. And in Palestine, Israeli occupation forces killed at least 63 Palestinians, including 26 aid seekers, in its latest attacks across Gaza. 15 others died of starvation in the last 24 hours. Hello, welcome from the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin the news. Salvadoran non-governmental organization CRISTOSAL, with more than 25 years of work, which took up the defense of Venezuelan migrants kidnapped by President Nayib Bukele at the Secot prison, called for an investigation into the human rights violations committed against them. Members of the organization made the demand from Guatemalan territory, where they have had to flee after being threatened with prison by the Salvadoran government. CRISTOSAL reaffirmed the migrants should not have spent even a minute in a Salvadoran penitentiary, much less a maximum security center. Let's recall that the lawyers for the organization representing some of the kidnapped victims reiterate that none of them had a criminal record, neither in Venezuela nor in the United States, and much less in El Salvador, a country they had never visited. Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro praised Monday the success of the Back to the Homeland plan and highlighted the 17th continuous month of economic growth of the Bolivarian nation. During his weekly TV program, Con Maduro Más, the Venezuelan head of state said his government will not rest until it can bring back to Venezuela the 29 children still held in the United States. He also informed that more than 8,000 Venezuelan migrants had already been rescued and returned to the country as part of the Back to the Homeland plan. In another part of his program, the head of state forecast a 20% increase in tourist arrivals in Margarita for the current year in relation to 2024, and informed that Venezuela will continue to produce oil for the world market.
At Thursday evening, we closed the deal with the United States government, the humanitarian exchange of 252 Venezuelans. We knew that they were coming, and also on Friday evening, without any mediators, the government of the United States informed that also 6 boys and girls of those 31 we are claiming that they were also coming to the country. On Friday we received them. It was a moment of great emotion. Those who are fathers and grandfathers feel this cause like a sacred cause, a special cause. No boy nor girl should be touched. They are untouchable, they are sacred. There is no explanation, no excuses, no reason to kidnap a children, a boy or girl. No race, no religions, no nationality. There is no way, no explanation.
In this regard, the President also addressed the treatment of inmates at the Secot prison and the kidnapping of Venezuelan children who were forcibly separated from their parents.
Concentration camp. Secot means camp, special camp of concentration. Secot. This one is very friendly today. Special camp of a special concentration camp. It is very painful, but more than this, it was even more painful to kidnap boys and children and girls. We have still 29 boys and girls kidnapped, and we have no rest. We will have no rest until those 29 boys and girls who are already forced separation, suffering forced separation from their parents, are going to be returned to Venezuela to hand them over to their parents, to their grandparents. All of them, you be sure about that. We are not going to rest, not even for a second.
In the context of our 20th anniversary celebrations, we would like to remember teleSUR's relationship with Argentine football legend Diego Armando Maradona.
Do you realize it, Diego? It's been 28 years from that moment, and I am still rowing. And thanks to you, I can say hello through the Latin American TV channel teleSUR to 110 countries.
Gracias a usted.
I thank you for giving me the opportunity to be in this program.
In 2014, the Zurda was born, one of the most emblematic and remembered teleSUR programs. The space had the courage of linking sports with politics, economy, and social realities of Latin America and the world, setting a precedence in television. The program was hosted by a luxury duo with great charisma and content, Argentinian football legend Diego Armando Maradona and renowned Uruguayan journalist, broadcaster and sports commentator Victor Hugo Morales. Maradona, known for his charisma and his direct and unfiltered opinions, brought his unique vision from the field of play and his experience as a world sports figure. On the other hand, Morales, famous for his eloquence and sharp analysis, provided the journalistic perspective and contextualized the debates with his broad culture and social commitment. The Zurda was a resounding success and had a wide repercussion, being broadcasted in more than 100 countries and reaching a potential audience of 480 million people. It featured the participation of several well-known football players such as Gary Lineker.
28 years to date, right? How is the hand?
Hristo Stoichkov.
Stoichkov and Maradona are what we could call two rebels.
Do you know what unites us? That we have not forgotten where we come from.
Héctor El Negro Enrique, among others. The main focus of the program was the analysis of the matches and events of the World Cup. However, it was not limited to tactics or the results. Maradona and Morales' vision always went further, incorporating strong opinions, personal anecdotes, and sports stories, including the achievements of countries such as the Soviet Union in the fields of sports, an aspect that is often minimized in other media. Maradona and Victor Hugo met again with the Zurda Viajero program in the framework of the America's Cup in Chile 2015, recorded in different Latin American countries such as Colombia, Cuba, and Venezuela. A space for the analysis of the sporting event and criticism of the most relevant events of our continent with the unfiltered view of the world's football star. 4 years after the success of the Zurda, the experience was repeated with the La Mano del 10 program for the 2018 World Cup in Russia, consolidating the formula that combined football and socio-political analysis. This new program was designed to continue the legacy of the Zurda, maintaining the combination of high-level football analysis with a strong component of social and political commentary. Maradona's passage through teleSUR was a demonstration of how a sports icon could transcend his field to become a political activist, a disseminator of ideas, and a tireless advocate for the underprivileged. teleSUR provided Maradona with a platform to be the Diego he wanted to be, not only the best football player in history, but also a tireless soldier for just causes, always with the legacy of Commander Hugo Chavez as his guiding light. Diego Maradona's imprint on our channel is a living testimony of the powerful union between sports, politics, and unbreakable friendship. It was a reflection of his deep commitment to a political and social vision of Latin America. For him, his relationship with teleSUR was not just a job. It was an extension of his militancy and his desire to influence public debate from a trench he considered his own. Maradona firmly believed in the network as a necessary alternative voice in the global media landscape, and he devoted himself to it with the same passion and conviction that characterized him on the playing field.
I personally feel a very strong internal happiness which I had not felt for many years, and I thank you for giving me this opportunity because you made one of my dreams come true.
We now have our short break coming up. Remember, you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. The Honduran government denounces the growing signs of political destabilization promoted by the far right and with the support of foreign actors. Government authorities warned that the opposition would be behind a plan to spark a popular uprising against President Xiomara Castro by August 2025. The executive condemned the disinformation campaigns that seek to discredit the work of the head of state, and at the same time, protests arise to simulate a massive discontent. Tegucigalpa assured that military forces will remain alert before any attempt to destabilize the constitutional order of the Central American country. And on Monday, the Dominican Republic Senate approved in second discussion and by unanimous vote a bill that seeks to reform the penal code. Civil organizations affirm that the law represents a serious setback in human rights. They question that this code exempts entities such as the state, political parties, or the church from criminal responsibility. It also establishes the total criminalization of abortion and does not contemplate any of the so-called free grounds for discriminalizing it. Entities such as Oxfam assert that it is an act of legalized torture. Sexually diverse groups denounce that it validates discrimination as it eliminates sexual orientation as an aggravating factor in crimes such as murder and torture, something that also occurs with gender-based crimes. In the new code, feminicide is only recognized in very extreme cases. And in Colombia, President Gustavo Petro highlighted the economic and social advances of his government in a call to deepen structural change in favor of the majorities. From the premises of the national capital, Petro drew an optimistic account of his government, highlighting the reduction of inflation and the advances in land redistribution, while criticizing the remnants of an excluding economic model and the traditional power structures. He emphasized that his administration managed to stabilize the economy despite the adverse forecasts of the opposition and highlighted the growth of the agricultural sector. The head of state also urged Congress of the Republic to support the pending social reforms in what will be the last legislature of his term. In Argentina, Peronism closed Monday list for the elections in Buenos Aires province considered key nationwide. In this context, the governor of Buenos Aires, Axel Kicillof, ensured that the state-strong Homeland Front left behind differences to make up the list of unity following thriving negotiations. Even though the deadline expired towards midnight on Saturday, officials authorized a request for an extension due to the power outages that hit the country. These provincial elections define the Argentine Congress, since Buenos Aires concentrates between 37% and 40% of the national electorate, and the largest number of national deputies and senators are elected there. And in Pakistan, authorities said the death toll following monsoon rains across the nation rose to 220, with almost 600 injured so far. The National Disaster Management Authority stated that the highest number of victims due to flash floods and landslides were children. 104 were children, 77 were men, and 40 were women. Also, more than 800 houses have been destroyed by the rains and floods. The meteorological authorities urged the population to stay away from danger zones and to abide by the established indications. And in China, heavy rainfall flooded areas in the east of the country, registering 296 millimeters of rain in only 12 hours. The weather phenomenon caused flooding in Lianjian County in Fujian province, overwhelming subway infrastructure and causing a landslide that blocked a tunnel in the city center. According to witness statements, the streets were also severely affected, with many vehicles being completely submerged. The Fujian Meteorological Bureau issued an orange-level storm warning, the second highest in China's 4-level coded system. The Russian government warned of raising tensions due to Western nuclear militarization incidents. In this context, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov denounced that the Trump administration deployed tactical nuclear weapons in the United Kingdom. Moreover, the diplomat unfolded that the competent entities in Moscow were monitoring the situation to set tasks for granting national security. In this regard, local outlets referred to the U.S. government had transferred several B-61-12 thermonuclear bombs to the British Air Base at Lakenheath. So far, neither the United States nor the United Kingdom have issued comments on these concerning events. We have a second break coming up. Before, we are happy to announce a brand new podcast. teleSUR and the China Academy presents Overlap, conversations from across the world on relevant issues worldwide. Tune in for its premiere on Thursday, July 24th at 7 p.m. Caracas time on all our socials at teleSUR English and at 9 p.m. Caracas time on our regular TV broadcast. See you there. For a short break, don't go away. Welcome back. Israeli occupation forces killed at least 63 Palestinians, including 26 aid seekers, in attacks across Gaza since dawn on Tuesday. The relentless Zionist aggressions come amidst the deepening starvation crisis in the besieged Gaza Strip. Israeli forces have blocked the entry of food to the enclave since March 2nd. Only the U.S. and Israeli-controlled Gaza Humanitarian Foundation has led aid distribution, operating just 4 centers, compared with the UN's former network of more than 400. To date, more than 1,000 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli fire at the GHF distribution centers. In this context, the United Nations denounces that the enclave is on the verge of a catastrophic famine, which is the most severe and irreversible form of malnutrition. The UN further noted that over 1 million Palestinians were doomed to it due to the Israeli Holocaust in the Gaza Strip. In this context, Palestinian authorities announced that the Israeli siege claimed 15 civilian lives due to famine in Gaza over the last 24 hours. Health authorities added that the death toll from famine and malnutrition rose to over 100, including 80 children. Doctors and health personnel are currently working on saving the wounded and the sick, despite the fact they were also deprived of food by Israeli forces. The World Food Programme denounced the crimes committed by Israel against Palestinians who are trying to access food at Gaza Humanitarian Foundation distribution centers to survive. And also, French news agency AFP denounced Tuesday the dire situation of their journalists in Gaza, saying that chronic food shortages are affecting their ability to perform their job. Press teams on the ground alerted that the difficulties in obtaining enough food to support their families has become an unbearable burden, as many warn of sky-high prices for the scarce food available. In addition, they denounced the lack of clean water, which is making them ill, as some have to cut back on the coverage. They are risking starvation on the ongoing Israeli blockade, and their strike has prompted the agency's management to announce plans to evacuate its journalists working in the Palestinian enclave. And Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan condemned once more Israel's actions in Gaza, accusing Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his government of surpassing Hitler in their barbarism.
Unfortunately, we are faced with a truly terrible situation where even the Red Cross was not allowed to enter. As I've said before, Prime Minister Netanyahu and his massacre network have long surpassed Hitler in barbarism. Every day, dozens of innocent people die because they cannot find a bite of bread or a sip of water. No one with a shred of human dignity can accept this, remain silent, or consent to this madness. Anyone who stays silent about the genocide in Gaza becomes complicit in Israel's crimes against humanity.
UNRWA Director of Communications Juliet Tuma reported that they have not been able to deliver much needed humanitarian assistance to Gaza in over 4 months of Israeli blockade.
1,000 trucks, so lorries of food and medicines. They are in Jordan and in Egypt. We haven't been allowed at UNRWA to bring in any humanitarian assistance for 4.5 months now, since 2nd of March. And meanwhile, we have over 10,000 people who work for UNRWA who are on the ground, who would be ready to receive those supplies and distribute them. This foundation only brings food and only dried food. They only have 2 to 4 distribution points. The UN and the humanitarians had 400. They go around with a bunch of armed people, and people get killed quite often whenever there is a distribution. When we were doing this, none of that has been happening. The time when we were bringing massive amounts of humanitarian aid during the 6 weeks of the ceasefire, we've not had any incident of people being killed simply because we don't work with mercenaries.
And in Palestine, 2 employees of the World Health Organization and 2 family members were arrested by the Israeli Zionist army in the city of Deir al-Balah in the center of Gaza. Through his official account on the social media X, the Director General of the organization, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, declared that the male employees were handcuffed, stripped naked, interrogated on the spot, and searched at gunpoint. The WHO senior official added that so far 3 of the 4 detainees have been released, while 32 employees of the organization were evacuated to the headquarters. Like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. So join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.